My name is Ricardo Mendez. I am the PMA at Institute of Technology, and we are going to do an interview on my uncle, which he is actually a senior MA in Kaiser Permanente. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
Go ahead. Hi, my name is Emmanuel. I'm a senior medical assistant at Kaiser Permanente. Been working there for almost 9 years now.
Oh, so 9 years?
Yes.
So
10 years.
10 years. So it turns out that you actually went to the school I'm going to, and which my other classmates obviously are. So can you tell us anything that helped you in that school that helps you now? Like what could we focus on in the school?
I feel the school gave us a lot of the basic foundations to the skills I need in medical assisting. One of the things that I would recommend focusing on is patient care and making them feel listened to and making them feel comfortable and giving them any kind of information or talking to them, getting them ready for the doctor.
Okay. So almost 9 years, right? 10 years. Uh, do you have any stories for us, or any kind of like experiences you've had, maybe to share with the classmates? Because I know a lot of MAs, they experience like a lot of situations with patients and difficulties. Anything for us?
One of the things that we deal with is a lot of patients that are very upset, um, not being able to get the medications that they're asking for, or feeling like the doctor did not answer the questions that they were asking. And so a lot of times we just have to make sure that the patient feels like they're listened to, like they were cared for. Sometimes they just want someone to let them vent, and so we have to be there for them in that kind of situation.
Do you have any patients that you felt like they're almost family to you in any way, or maybe like just a close friend, even though you know you're not supposed to have friends?
There's a lot of patients that you get used to seeing them there, and so when you see them, they do bring joy to seeing them again. A lot of times they're very happy to see you because they see you and they remember you from seeing their doctor all the time. They always see you there, and so a lot of times they remember you more than you remember them. But it makes me happy seeing them, so happy to see me still working with the doctor, still being there to take care of them.
So you've been here for 8, almost 9, 10 years.
12.
12. Okay. And how many patients do you see a day, like average?
Average is about
Does it vary
20,
sometimes?
24 patients a day.
24 patients.
Yeah.
When's the most you've ever seen? Would you remember?
When we are sharing different doctors, we'll see maybe 25 to 35 patients in a day.
Just by yourself, right?
Yeah, just by
Okay.
myself.
And how many doctors do you work for?
We have currently about 50 doctors in our building, and I work closely with about 8 of them.
8 of them? That sounds okay. And you said you're the senior MA, so what are the responsibilities? What's the difference between a senior and a regular MA?
The difference is that we are the ones that have to facilitate any kind of conflicts or any kind of complications that arise between the medical assistants and the doctors, any issues between patients and the MAs. I have to be the one to try to resolve those issues. If it doesn't get resolved, then I have to escalate it to my nurse manager or to the actual manager.
So the MAs, if they have a problem, they talk to you first, and then you talk to the doctors, right?
Correct.
Basically.
They would come to me 1st.
And so, right now in the module we're in, we're actually doing medical billing and coding. And a lot of our classmates, including myself, were kind of worried if we had to do that in your in like a clinic, because you work in a clinic, right?
Yes.
Do we do any of that kind of stuff, or like, do we have to really pay attention to this module, or
From my experience, I would say pay attention to everything, just because every place is different. With Kaiser, personally, we don't deal with that as much, with any of it really for medical billing or coding. But I mean, it just depends on where you work at. So I would just recommend listening to everything,
because you still need the skills, right? Just to have them.
Yeah, and then just like with anything else, you could always transfer to something to do with that, and so it's good to have that foundation at least.
And have you always wanted to be a medical assistant, like throughout your life, or it just happened?
No, it more just happened that I was looking for a different job that was more secure.
Okay.
And healthcare is always going to be there, and I felt comfortable in being in a job where I can deal with people every day and work with different people every day, and it just felt like the right fit.
So being a medical assistant, can you say it pays well? Do you think how much effort you put into your work? Do you think it pays out? Just a whole lot of experience.
with every job is different too. Some jobs won't pay as good. Kaiser does pay a little bit better than most jobs, and so that'd be probably the best place to go to.
Hmm.
As far as experience or doing your job better, I feel that if I didn't do my job as good as I did, then I wouldn't be a senior medical assistant, and so that definitely did help.
So, in our school, the big scare we have is the HIPAA violations.
Always be scared of HIPAA.
Is that something that we should be scared of?
No, I wouldn't say scared of. It's
Or
easier.
cautious of,
It's
right?
easier to once you get used to it. It's easier to just not let it affect you so much. It's always in the back of your mind, so it's not something you need to be scared of. But it is something you should be always having in the back of your mind, and you just get used to it. So it's not something you should really be scared of.
So some of us are gonna start doing externships, and we're kind of nervous and stuff. And I hope to get an externship, like maybe like a big hospital. What can you say like for an interview or any kind of like just in how what would you do in an interview? Like how did you get the job?
I would say just try to stand out in a positive way. I was told by my interviewer that I didn't really stand out, and she kind of told me that she took a chance on me by hiring me, and I got
Oh, wow.
lucky because by my first impression, she didn't really think I stood out too much,
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess I was pretty lucky, and so I feel like maybe you should just try to stand out and try to show that you are someone that they can rely on in a group setting, someone that will take the lead and take initiative.
And there's a lot of group work, right? Like
Yes.
you work with your coworkers closely.
Yes, you constantly have to rely on each other and communicate with each other to make sure that nothing is falling through the cracks, no patient is getting left behind.
So speaking of group settings, you actually work with your coworkers a lot, right? So what can you explain? Is it a lot of like group effort? Is it just
Yes, we constantly have to make sure that we know where each other is at to help out each other. If someone's on break, if someone's doing a patient or doing a procedure, we try to help each other out in any way we can. And so, if someone needs help, we have to have orders on what they need. So, if the doctor needs to put an order in, then we need to release that order. So, we need to communicate with each other all the time.
And was there any cases? Obviously, there's a lot of stress in any job you work. I know there's stress in my job. And how do you Taco Bell? How do you handle stress in your work area?
Really, there's no good way to handle stress like, other than just trying to do your best at the moment and not let it get to you and just keep going. Just keep going on to the next patient, not let it affect you with each patient that you get.
And a lot of patients are frustrating, right? Or
It can be. It can be
can
very
be.
frustrating. But you just try not to let it affect your work or try to show that to the patient that you're with.
And was there any situations that you felt like bad for the patient, even though you can't really express feelings because we're being taught not to really show too much emotion towards a patient?
Yeah, there's times where you know they're going to get bad news or you know that their health isn't too good and they're going to talk to the doctor about it or the doctor is going to talk to them about how bad their health is, and so you can't let it get to you all the time. A lot of times it is nice to show compassion to them, and they expect it from you too. So you kind of just have to find the right balance.
Has there been any situations where you have like almost broken, like in tears or any? No,
Not yet.
not yet. Hopefully never. Huh? So, what can I ask you now? Oh yeah. So, what do the doctors expect of you? You as a
expect me-
senior MA.
They expect me to make sure that everyone is doing their part and maximizing their time at work and making sure that they aren't wasting any time as far as any downtime that we have. They need to be calling patients and calling them for their preventative care, making sure that everyone is doing their equal part and sharing the equal workload and not one person getting too much or too overworked.
Have you ever been overworked yourself? Has there been obviously?
Yeah, most days I can say I'm pretty overworked, but I feel that in the position that I'm in, I have to be in that role where I'm taking more work from others.
Um, if you do you have any suggestions for the future MAs that are learning at institute? to?
Yeah, I would say just make sure that you take your time with each patient, make sure that you are doing everything correctly, and try not to rush things because that is what can lead to mistakes, and to make sure that you're in the moment with each patient and not trying to rush out of there because they can sense that, they can feel it. And so just try to make each patient feel like they're all the attention that you have right now.
Do doctors have any like quotas that you have to meet at the end of the day?
Yeah,
Or
well, not in the end of the day, but they have quotas of how many patients they have to reach for goals for hypertension, for breast cancer. So they have to meet those goals every month, and every towards the end of the year, they come up with a spreadsheet where it has all that information of how many patients that they reached out to.
so your sister, my mom, is a pharmacist technician. And I heard that you guys sometimes would call each other just for company reasons. Is that true? Like you guys just accidentally call each other,
Yeah,
or not on purpose? Not.
yeah, she
Yeah.
would constantly call regarding medications to
Mhm.
ask the doctors to put orders in, and I'd be the one picking up the phone, and it would just be funny that.
Thank you for watching. Have a
Cookies.
great night.
That's what she said.
So you have a lot of coworkers, right? That
Correct.
you. Okay, that was kind of dumb. Hold on. So you have many coworkers, and do you trust a lot of them?
Yes. I have to trust him. Oh my god. Weird, yeah.
So have you ever had like any sexual relations with any of your patients?
Constantly. I don't know if I told you about this one guy the other day. Oh my god. He had a big.
Okay.